Brian, as a real estate investor, you can go two different ways, active versus passive real estate. Can you explain the difference between the two of those?
Right, yeah. Active real estate means that basically you're the landlord, or alternatively that you've hired a management company, but you still have to make major decisions. You still have to pay for big repairs as they come up. You're still susceptible to a lack of diversification because you might only own one property in one city and that kind of thing. So that's active real estate. Passive real estate is where you're not doing anything. You've got a management company managing that property. They've got reserves put away for any replacements or repairs they need to make. They're not going to call you with a capital call where they say, hey, we need some money for a new roof or something like that. Personally, I tried getting, I love real estate as an investment class, and I decided I was going to be an active owner of real estate, and I bought some rental houses. And I had the unbelievable luck of every time I had somebody move in, they acquired a large dog and started taking drugs. So pretty much across the board, I was a terrible landlord, and it didn't work for me being active. But for a lot of people, they've made really good returns being an active landlord and so forth. But they may come a time in their life where they don't want to be active, they want to be passive.
So Brian, who is being an active landlord best suited for?
Well, one of the things I talk about, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to buy some rentals because I hear people are making money in that. And I say, oh, well, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever owned them before? No. How are you at fixing things? Not so good with tools, okay? Do you know the real estate market really well? Not really, but I go on Zillow. I go, okay. Are you able to buy something undervalued? Do you know the demographics of the area? Do you understand cap rates? I go on and on and on, and basically they don't know anything about it. And I said, well, you know, owning investment real estate is like owning a business. There are good business owners and not so good. And I'm afraid you're going to be buying at top dollar retail, not knowing what you're doing, not knowing how to manage tenants or fix the place, and it may not work out that good for you. So it's really best suited for active real estate, is best suited for somebody that actually wants to own the business of owning rental real estate and is good at it. They're bringing something to the table. They know how to buy under market. They know something about the area that's going to go up in value. They know how to fix things. They can put in some sweat equity. These are where active real estate can be really beneficial for somebody. They're in a good area. There's a lot of reasons why it can be good. There's a lot of reasons why it can't, won't be good. And it might be in the same area. For instance, for me, as I mentioned, not good to be active. I'm really good with passive real estate. But for somebody that is thinking about active real estate, make sure you're good at the business of owning real estate.
So Brian, what are the detriments of active versus passive real estate investing?
Right, so as I speak to younger people and they say, oh, I've heard about those DSTs and REITs that you talk about, I want to get one. I said, no, you don't. You're really good at real estate. You're really good at sweat equity. You've got decades and decades of appreciation ahead of you. You should probably have passive or active real estate in the case of somebody that's younger. So I would say that it's really kind of age dependent in addition to what you're good at, what you're not good at. So younger people, I would tend to steer towards active real estate, whereas older people may be more towards passive real estate generally. Now everybody's different, but we certainly, as we age, maybe active was okay in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, but your 70s, 80s, 90s, passive makes more sense. So we can have a paradigm shift of sorts between going from one to the other. So there's advantages and disadvantages to each, but some of it's dependent upon what we want to do with our life and how old we are.
So what are some of the main advantages of active real estate?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest advantage of active real estate is appreciation. Certainly in the area that we live here in the Pacific Northwest, we've seen huge appreciation. So anybody that was an active real estate owner may have seen huge gains. And so that's a big advantage of that. I don't know what the future holds for that, but certainly they've seen that mostly across the board. Passive real estate kind of mutes the gains, but probably the downside too, to some degree. But I would say the biggest advantage, like I say, of active real estate is potential appreciation. And the biggest advantage of passive real estate is a reduction of stress, capital calls, and just time, your quality of life.
Brian, can you give me an example, a real life story of a client that you've helped in this area?
Yeah, certainly. I had somebody who were selling their business, and it had a significant real estate portion to it. And so they were talking to me about, well, you know, I'm gonna do a 1031 exchange, but I got to buy another property. And I said, oh, okay, so you want to be an active landlord? Yeah, I like being a landlord because my rate of return is the highest that way. And I got to talk to him about that. And I said, so we're going to start over with new real estate. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I said, well, you know, Ted, you're 75 years old, and your wife is too. And you know, how many years do you think you're going to want to be an active landlord? And we kind of concurred that most people over 80 don't want to be as active in that. So really, just 5 years. I said, well, so your business plan here is to be a business guy for 5 years, own this real estate, and kind of leave it to your wife and kids to manage and so forth. And I said, yes, I agree, Ted, that your rate of return will probably be higher if you do something like that. But is that your goal right now in life, now that you got this $5 million from the real estate and 3 more from your business? And he goes, you know, I got $8 million. I'm 75 years old. Why am I thinking about starting a new business in real estate? You're right. I don't need to maximize my rate of return. I need my time and less stress. Cash flow would be great from the 1031 exchange using the DST. I can leave that to my heirs. So we came to the conclusion that in his mind, he kept thinking, I got to grow, but he's 75 years old. And we decided that now was the time to take the less stressful way of the passive real estate.
So active versus passive real estate, it really is a question that you really got to think about. There are a lot of decisions to be made. Brian, thanks for your information.